Hurrah, hurrah. Reason why you hear me say stuff like that is because I don't like that word hello. So the instant I catch myself saying saying it, I'll kind of pull myself up and be like, change it into something else, like hurrah, hurrah. And that way, I get a free pass because I don't want to say that word, and I almost did. So that's like me catching myself out, pulling myself out of my own bullshit type energy. So just want to double check, make sure everything is sweet before I jump into the vids. The video. The video. That looks like it's stuffed. I don't want to deal with that. This here, wonder if that'll make a difference. How's that connection there? High CPU usage. Mate, I'll make it low then. How hard is it? You know what I mean? Like, how do we bring it down? I don't know, I'm not that good with technology. Like, I'm alright, I'm a decent, but alright. You are supposed to do the work, not me. I'm just doing the video. The video is the video technical stuff, that's the computer side, like I've got an idea. Let's do that. And then hopefully if I do that, it'll be sweet. Okay, there we go. Now, looks like our CPU usage has gone down, but let's see if it stays there. Do I even have not connected? Oh, we are connected. Okay. That would explain why I can't hear myself. Let's hold on. Let's just give this babes a second. Looks like we're good for a bit. Are we gonna stay good? Seems like I'm pretty good. It's just the video that's stuffing out right now. What's going on? Let's just give these babes a second. Okay, honestly, this is good enough for me. Looks like we're good for a bit. We're gonna stay good. I'm not gonna argue. That's good enough for me, babe. So, little intro that I wanted to do today. Minus the ad. We don't want no YouTube ads. The fuck. I don't know how the volume is, but we'll just pray for the best. Oh, I'm not praying because I'm not no prey. You know, I don't allow predators to overseed my energy and take over me and dominate. You know, like unless they're certain types of predators that we wouldn't call predators. But anyways, I just want to get into the intro today. Yeah, sometimes you want to freestyle and put the rhythm in it so that you could show the me style. Yeah, I just want to say that in this video, I'm showing you how to be out of place and be you in the best way that you can be, because you don't need a motherfucking worry. This was supposed to be a poem, but it ends up being a freestyle anyway. You just gotta go with the flow when sometimes you get a little bit stuffed up in your mind. You just got to go your own way, be your own light. Be your own light. You don't need to fight. You just gotta embrace the moment and it's right. You just gotta realize that everything in your life has been full of lies. Get out of your own demise. Because you know you're the one who creates everything in your reality. Take responsibility, bitch. Because you know that that's you. Be free. Ding, 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 ding. That is not what you think it is. Anybody who thinks it's whatever you think it is, it's not that. Yeah, whatever you think it is, baby, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. Baby, I'm just chilling, and I don't give a fuck about that stupid crap. Don't give a shit about that stupid crap. Yeah, I just realized that sometimes your mind might be full of lies, and you get a little bit stuck up on your motherfucking rhymes. But that's true to the video. You're feeling out of place. You're getting in your mind and realizing that you don't relate to the external. Baby, what the heck did you do with your internal? Cause the world is turning, and people are motherfucking burning in the desire. Are you gonna rise higher? Are you gonna get out of the silly fire? Are you gonna sink down into your desire? Baby, you should rise higher. Well, that could not have ended at a more perfect time, guys. That was crazy. That could not have ended at a more perfect time, that last live. Just chef's kiss, chef's kiss. I just finished the freestyle, the beat just finished, and then my whole program just crashed. Like, I'm not even pissed about that because the way it happened was just perfectly orchestrated in divine timing, you know. That was meant to be my intro, but now it's just its own separate video. So, you know, we're just gonna flow with it, we're just gonna go with it. Damn, Bish, you really wanted that tea, huh? So maybe you guys are really into the tea. Like the truth, you know, you're looking to get the truth, the tea. What the heck is the truth? What's the tea? Maybe there's a lot of people watching this video trying to get the tea on me, on my life. You know, that's probably what's really going on here. But at the end of the day, if you're watching this video, you're only seeing a fraction of who I am as a person. A very fraction of the person that I am, you know. And even then, even people in my real life, they don't even get like certain aspects of myself because, you know, like certain parts of myself is sacred, you know, it's holy. It's something that I don't need to share with everyone and I don't care to share with everyone, you know. So it's about, you know, categorizing, putting things in their right place, organizing, structuring things so that they align a little bit better. You know, sometimes they might feel a little bit out of place. But once you get that thing and it just clicks into place, you know what I mean? You know when it's aligning, you know when it's in the right place, right time. The way it happened was just perfectly categorizing, putting things in their right place. So I don't need to go on about it. I don't need to blah blah blah. Cootie cutty y'all. Let me just see if I can fix this. And if I can't, then I can't. I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna try. Doesn't look like it's gonna work though. I'm not gonna click that button again. Because the last time I clicked that button, the second time, after it said no, the whole thing crashed. And I'm pretty sure it happened the time before that. So, I'm wise enough to know that if I click it again, it's gonna crash and I'm gonna have to restart the video again. So, maybe you guys have been constantly clicking this button and shit's gonna crash. But every time you go back to that button, bish, you'd be clicking that button again. And then you think that there's gonna be a different outcome, a different expectation. But time and time, life has showed you that shit's gonna crash, babe. So why do you keep going back to that button and pressing that damn button? Okay? BRB. Right, let's get straight into it. So, even though we didn't really get straight into it, I had a whole intro, had a whole another video, went for a few minutes, had a little bit of bit. But, I had to restart the video. Now we're back at the start, so it's kind of like getting straight into it. I was just checking to see if the rain was loud, because I can see like the little thing at the bottom. Besides, as you can tell from the title, the titty, the titty of the video today is what to do when you feel out of place. Okay, the idea, the concept that this came from was because the other day I was going for a walk. Right, mind you, let me just say as well, a little pre-preface. When I say the concept that got me the idea for this video, I do not necessarily mean that I just instantly thought to myself, this whole ass video idea from that one concept that I think. No. This, usually, when I say the concept, it's something that's been marinating in my brain. I've been, there's certain juices and certain sources that's going on in my brain, like, for a long time, like, like long millennia, like eon, bitches just be like churning in there, like, and to a lot of people they may just think like, oh no, that's just like a couple months. No, babe, I feel time on a different level, I feel time on a different level to a lot of people. So, and a lot of people, everyone's time experience is really different at the end of the day. So it doesn't make me special, you know what I mean? But I feel time on a different level. That's my point. That's my point that I'm trying to make. Because I noticed that for me, a couple years can feel a lot longer than a couple years. And it depends on your vibration too and your frequency, of course. But in a general sense, I noticed things tend to feel longer for me in some instances. I could be wrong. I could be talking out of my ass. Like, I could be just talking out of my booty crack. But, I might be right. I might be right too. So, what's it called? Because for me, I'm 24 years old. This is what I'm thinking. Like, I've seen 24-year-olds they live the same 24 years as me, you know, but somehow like there's some kind of like mechanism and some kind of like orchestrated brain chemistry that's like going on, you know, and it's like it just doesn't compute, just doesn't align, you know. So I'm just like, okay, so how are you 24? I'm 24, but yeah, you know, like, does it speak for itself? I'm sure you know a lot of 24-year-olds in your life. It speaks for itself. Need I say anymore? You know, so this is something that I've observed in my life. And yeah, it just boils down to, okay, you know, I've had more lives, I've had more experiences, right? But if people weren't believing in spirit, if people didn't believe in like past lives or none of that, their explanation would only really go down to, okay, well, we must be experiencing time on a different scale. So I must have had a longer 24 years for me to get to this point, for, rather than someone else who's 24 years old. You know, like, so, but that's just the theory, you know, that's not necessarily like fact, but you know, I like to bring things to the table. I like to challenge people's ways of thinking, and you know, I definitely think I got your brain chemicals going. So if you think that I got your brain chemicals going in that little talk right there, highly recommend you let me know. Nah, jokes. I don't even care. But let me know if you feel like letting me know. You know, like I'll be like cool either way. You know, but I remain indifferent about a lot of things because what I've noticed with life is like remaining indifferent is like probably one of the best things you can do in a lot of circumstances. You might feel like you need to care. You might feel like you need to put all your energy and time into something. But but honestly, I think that remaining indifferent has been a lot beneficial for me in a lot of different circumstances and moments in my life. You know, remaining like in that carefree, like I just don't give a fuck, like, you know, like just like exit out of the body, like exit left stage, exit, get the fuck, you know, whatever it may be. So enough rambling with my Gemini freaking head ass. It's Virgo moon right now, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't actually been looking at the moon alignments. I've just been paying attention to the moon and then the energy. So I've been kind of like, I don't know. I guess I've been paying attention to the alignments, but in a more like, in not like the physical, logical aspect, right? So, all that to say, leading on to the next topic, the main topic of the video, when it comes to remaining indifferent, that is one of the things, one of the main things, one of the best things that you can do when you feel out of place. What do you do when you're out of place? Remain indifferent, mainly. There's a few other things that go into the recipe, you know, because for me, speaking from my own personal experience, because a lot of people be like, oh, well, where's your face card, bitch? Like, where's your receipts? Like, babes, I was born in Christchurch, right? Moved here to Australia when I was 5 years old. Moved back to Christchurch when I was 9 years old. Moved back, no, not back, sorry. Moved up to Rotorua when I was like 11, 12 years old. Then I moved back to Melbourne when I was 12, 13 years old. And then I moved back to Rotorua, back to Taranaki, back to New Zealand when I was 21, 22. So, as you can tell, I got a lot of receipts when it comes to feeling out of place or being out of place, you know? So I got all the receipts. So that's why I even brought up the topic of this video. But I literally just realized, see, that is a textbook Gemini trait right there. What I just did, I started the sentence long time ago. Like, I don't know if you guys caught it, but long time ago in this video, I started the sentence where I was going to explain where the idea of the video came from me. But, you know what happened? I didn't even explain where the idea came from. I explained many different things that relate to where the idea came from. I also explained some early stages of my life when the idea came from. But I didn't actually say what I was going to say. So, my Gemini ass, I need to pull myself back in check, get myself back in line, and we're going to talk about it. So I was walking and I saw this tree, and boy oh boy did I see this tree, bitch. Because I've been reading, like, if you're a reader or if you're spiritual, like, you're able to kind of sense the way that even plants and animals, like, so you'll naturally be able to take care of plants and animals because you'll look at a plant and you're like, okay, I just sense something's off. Something's off. You might not even, it might not even look any different than it did the day before. It might just be a subtle change in color or a subtle droop, but it's so subtle nobody else noticed it. Nobody else in the house paid attention. But because you are more in tune, you're more spiritually inclined, you kind of notice these really subtle signs and symbols. So that's what it means when you're reading signs and symbols. If anyone got it twisted and anyone thought that reading signs and symbols had anything to do with like seeing something in my mind and imagining and picturing a symbol out of nowhere, like that can be a part of it. But like, you know, the main concept is what I was just talking about. So when I was walking around, I noticed these signs and symbols, right? I'll be looking at the trees, I'll be reading the trees, I'll be sensing the environment around me. You know, what is the environment telling me? Like, what thoughts and feelings am I receiving from as I'm walking around? You know, like I see this tree makes me feel like this. You know, everything has like a character, man. I swear, like, but if you're so like lost into the world, you just think like everything's just a thing. Like, but that's what the thing is: the character, the thing. So, but when you separate those two, then you're like living like kind of like confused. You're like, what the fuck's going on? Like, life. Oh my gosh, it's a shit show. But when you start to understand that everything has a character, right? You start to be able to read life in a lot more of an easier, simpler way, and becomes like 1+1=2. You know, 3+3=6. And then you just look at it and you're like, bitch, like, how the fuck did I think this shit was difficult? Or like, whatever you thought was difficult about life, you know, it starts to become a lot easier. And then you start to think to yourself, damn, was I stupid or what? Yeah, you were. I was, you know, I was so dumb. Stupider than you think. But, you know, we're also intelligent in our own way. So don't freaking diss yourself. You have some intelligence somewhere, otherwise you wouldn't even be like who you are. You develop some kind of intelligences and wisdoms. So, I was looking at this tree, and this tree was giving off those vibrations. It was giving off those energies of me. You know, I saw myself in this tree. In like the fact that this tree looked completely out of place. And it also might be part of my bias, because this tree, it's like, I know the species of the tree, and I know that it's not a native tree to Australia, right? But I was looking at it, the leaves was yellow, browny, like kind of like the picture that I showed you. But it looks like kind of more dead and more limpy. So I was like, this tree reminds me of me, like, damn. Like, you look so out of place, but me back in the day. You know, I don't feel that much like that anymore. But growing up, you know, especially being from two different geographical locations, like, which one? Which one? You know, I grew up in Australia, but I was born in New Zealand. So my mind, if you're from a similar background as me, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Your mind gets confused between the two worlds that you're from, like two different cultures, two different things. Like, you could probably relate to this a little bit if you're mixed, but being mixed is not the same. Like, it's like kind of like a different experience. Like, I can't speak fully for that. I can speak for being me being mixed and being an immigrant, you know. So that's like the two layers that I have. But I can't fully speak for someone who's mixed at this point in time because I don't fully know that. Like, I'm gonna be real. So, being from two different geographical locations at once, there's a sense of confusion. There's a sense of disarray. There's a sense of disconnection, you know, a separation from your environment that you're from, aka where you're born, and the environment that you're at. So you don't ever really feel quite like either, you know, and this is what I was saying as well. Mixed people can experience this and know what I'm talking about in that aspect. But you don't really ever feel like you're quite part of either world. you just kind of feel like you're both and neither. And I don't really need to speak any more on that, because anybody who's mixed, anybody who's from two different geographical locations knows exactly what I'm talking about. I don't need words. I don't need, yeah. So, but I did explain it with words, but you get what I'm saying. I don't need any more words than what I said. So, this confusion makes you feel out of place, of course. You know, you're going to feel out of place. You're going to feel kind of alien to the geographical location that you're on. You're going to feel kind of like, you know, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. And I can so get that, because I experienced that for the majority of my life. I felt like, where do I go? Where do I fit? Where is my place? I felt very like the tree. Like, this is where I got into the tree. The tree looked sick. It didn't look healthy, you know? So in my mind, I was like, yeah, this is reminding me of me back in the day when I didn't know where I belong. I didn't know my own cultural background, but I also didn't know the land that I was on or have any real connection to it. So this led me to literally being sick, mentally, physically, you name it, like all kinds of sick, you know, sick in the brain, mate. So, you know, mental illness and stuff like that, you know, it can be hard. Obviously, everyone experiences some degree of mental illness. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you're only mentally ill if you're this background, if you're from two different geographical locations. No, that's not the point, babe. You can get sick regardless. This is a different kind of sickness, you know. When you're talking about the tree is sick because of the soil, the roots, the environment, the atmosphere, the air. All of that is causing the tree to have developed some kind of sickness or illness, because it doesn't resonate with the environment that it's in. It doesn't have the same kind of mixtures, doesn't have the same kind of bacterias and types of water and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have all of those things. So it needs to either develop those things, or if it's still wanting to be involved with the things that it originally is a part of, then that can also cause like a different energy to go on. So maybe it might, you know, I'm not going to say this for a fact, but maybe it might feel a little bit more out of place or feel a little bit more ill because it's trying to hold on to the nutrients, to the bacteria, to the waters of whatever it's just came from, instead of like developing new nutrients, new bacteria, new waters, because it's somewhere else at this point in time. So it's maybe living in the past where it should be living in the present. Hold on. Yeah, we good. The rain's getting loud, so I thought, oh, hold on. So these bacteria and these nutrients, if you're just still stuck on an old nutrient, still stuck on an old bacteria, or you can't even make your own nutrients or bacteria. You're just like, bitch, what's bacteria? Like, I don't know. Like, yo, I want this bacteria that I'm from, or this bacteria that I'm at. And bacteria is just an allegory or a metaphor or representation for what I'm talking about. If you haven't picked up on that right. It's just representing, bacteria is just a representation of the two different geographical locations, mind states, whatever, you name it. It could go in many different layers, you know, your culture, your geographical location, could be any, you know. But when you're too tightly holding on to these, or like I said, main thing it would be is really you just like feel confused. So you don't know whether you want to be here or you don't know whether you want to be there. Like, and this is like comes from a mental seed of you being indecisive and unsure in some area of your mind in the first place. So you're like, oh bitch, I don't know which way I'm going. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm at. You know, all of that kind of stuff will go through your mind. So it's not necessarily you holding on too much to the last one. It's more that you are between two worlds. You're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out energy, you know? So when you are 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and you're in that energy, obviously you might develop some kind of illnesses because you're not fully adjusting. You're not in one space. You're not in one energy. You're not in one geographical location. You're not in one place. You're trying to be in both places without fully committing to either. So now you're not developing any bacteria for it. You're not developing any waters for it. You're just like, nah, I'm just going to stay in the middle. I don't give a fuck about making anything out of this or that. I'm just going to, yeah. Instead of like, maybe you could grab both and you can make something completely new. Or like, either way, it doesn't matter. But if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're not really doing any of that. So this is the state of being that I was in. And this is the state of being that the tree was in. The tree is in that state of being. Otherwise, it wouldn't get sick. It would have been adjusted. It would have developed its own bacteria and waters and nutrients and so on and so forth. So my guess is that tree is probably a fresh seed from England or wherever it was from. It was probably a fresh seed. Or maybe just first generation, maybe. So I bet you I'm right. So, just like me, I'm not even first generation Australian. I live in Australia and I'm first generation. I'm literally first generation. I'm fucking many generations in New Zealand. Because I've got indigenous roots, but I also have the European side, which is like Scottish, Irish, English, freaking basically that whole area of those people, and probably Dutch, because I know a lot of Dutch people are in New Zealand. A lot of people in New Zealand, especially South Island, people have Dutch ancestry. Very common. They might not know it, but I know it. I could just tell by the certain ways, because you could tell when someone is a certain type of European. Like you could tell the British, Scottish, Irish, all of those Europeans versus the Italians, the Spanish, completely different, And then even all the way down to, like I was saying, the Dutch, they're all so completely different. So compared to those ones that I just mentioned. So, when you're from another geographical location, you may experience a lot of these symptoms. You may feel out of place. You may feel sick. And this does not apply. I'm not going to speak because I don't know fully about this yet. So I'm not going to say that any of this might apply to you if you're first generation, second generation, or whatever. So you're not an immigrant at that point. You're technically born out of that landmass. You might have a lot of blood from another landmass, but you're born on that landmass. So that's a different story. I don't know if you can relate to this, but let me know, that'll help me to learn as well, if you can relate to this, but I'm down to learn about it eventually. But I don't know fully about that yet. So I'm just speaking from my experience, like I said. So I'm just keeping an eye on the time because it's 9. And I don't eat after 10. So, I'm just like, bitch, I want to get some. I want to num. As you can tell, I bitch don't eat much. Need I say more? So, if you see my other videos, you know the story partly about why, especially there's one video where was my testimony about eating and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure, and yeast. That was a good video if you want to watch that. Actually, Loki, I just said it was a good video, but I can't really remember much of it, but I know that the subject matter of the video is good. I don't know about anything else about the video, I don't know if it's organized and structured and it's prim and proper, because when I started out on YouTube, I was going against that shit. So I was like, bitch, anything prim and proper or anything expected of me that it's normal expectations of what a YouTuber or what a person who makes videos should be, I don't want that. I want to get the fuck. So nowadays I just do whatever. I just do whatever. Whatever I feel like this point in time. I try not to think about it too much because otherwise the videos don't go cute when you think about it so much, when you overthink shit. That's why I barely even plan my shit. I just have a rough template I just like rough templates, like, and like a general idea. Like I do mental plans. That's really what I'll be doing. Like, so I guess that's my Gemini Taurus cusp. I do like mental plans. So I got like, okay, this idea, this idea, this idea. Okay, cool. We're ready. Oh, let me just write down a few words. Okay, that's my plan. At least that's what works for me. You know, you can't always apply everything from everyone else's to you, but I've learned along the way that that's worked for me. Because I was confused. That's actually another layer of confusion, you know. When it comes to you being a cusp on any of your signs, there's a bit of a confusion there, you know. So for me being a cusp and my sun, there's confusion. There's like, which way, you know, like, so do I Gemini, do I Taurus? It's like that kind of energy. So when you are a cusp in whatever planet it is, it's important for you to get to know yourself in relation to those, because then you'll be able to differentiate and know, okay, what's what, you know, which part of yourself is acting as the Gemini and which part of yourself is acting as the Taurus, and even which parts of yourself is more negative and positive in terms of the outcome that you receive. Because, you know, you can't just go, oh, I'm a Taurus and I need to do these kind of things that would make more sense with a Taurus, or vice versa. You know, you have to blend the two, you know, you have to kind of make either blend the two or use them in whatever respective ways they should be used in. It's what I think. You know, there could be other ways. There could be other ways. I will say that. But just from my understanding, you kind of blend the two, or you use them for their respective areas. Otherwise, then you start to notice like a lot of rocky shit, and you might do the same thing that another Taurus could do, but because you've got like a cusp, your energy won't resonate with it as much as the other Taurus, so you might not get like the full benefits of whatever that outcome is or could be. And then, so for me, I've noticed blending them really, really help, you know, blending those two. So instead of just straight up fully planning and structuring everything, instead of just straight up fully just thinking about everything and mulling it over, I kind of blend the two. I think about and mull over whatever I'm going to plan to do. And I noticed that has been more of a benefit for me. And I've noticed more positive, beneficial things. Like I just noticed that I like my videos better, you know. I don't care whether I like my video or not, because at the end of the day, if I get the urge or the calling to actually post a video, especially what I talk about, like I only like to talk about stuff that has a meaning or reasoning behind it. So the moment I have a good enough meaning and reasoning behind it, bitch, I'm gonna say it, and I don't care how the video turns out. If it turns out that way, I'm just gonna chalk it up to, okay, it must have been, that was the best way to deliver it. That's usually how my mindset goes. That might be a little bit toxic, you know. I don't think so though, because I've noticed that I get really positive and beneficial outcomes. But at the end of the day, just because something works does not mean that it's the right thing to do at the same time. So always be accountable, and I don't want to lead anyone down a wrong path into thinking that they shouldn't be accountable and shit as well. It's important to be accountable and be aware of your own bullshit. But yeah, there goes my Gemini Mercury again. See, that's that Virgo moon playing up. Because when it comes to them both being in Mercury, I feel like it just brings my Gemini in this out a lot more. It's like, bitch, come to the forefront, come to the forefront. So, when you feel out of place, right? When you feel like you are not from one or the other, you feel like you're in two separate worlds, the best thing for you to do is, one, remain indifferent. There's no point in worrying and mulling over it, because at least what I've noticed, the amount of times that I've worried and mulled over it, I just manifested it. More experiences of me experiencing separate or feeling like I was in two different worlds. And then the two worlds will become 4 worlds. And then the 4 worlds becomes 8 worlds. So now you're like in like 8 different worlds, but you originally started with those 2 worlds. So you're probably still thinking you're in 2 worlds. You're actually in like 8 to 12 to maybe even more, you know. But this is just because you've separated yourself so many different times by going into that feeling and feeling separate, feeling like alienated, feeling outsided, you know. And you don't it's not to say that you won't necessarily experience that, but when you remain indifferent, you're not giving that any energy, you're not giving that any charge, so it's not able to manifest or come to fruition in your life because you're not even paying attention to it. So you're not using your currency, your esoteric currency, to pay attention to that shit. Like, and then what? So when you remain indifferent, this stops you from actually constantly going through that experience, constantly learning and having to go through the experience, when the universe is really just trying to show you that you shouldn't be alone. Oh, you shouldn't feel alone. Sorry. It's I look at it all as a test or a challenge, you know. The universe is really just trying to help you. The universe, God, or possibilities, whatever you want to call this higher, greater energy or greater source, which is really not an energy, but this greater power, in a sense, is always trying to help us. Always trying to help us to see ourselves. This is why people say everything's a reflection. So it's like you're just getting helped. But, you know, a lot of people just want to just keep on staying in their toxic shit. And so then you just get helped to stay in your toxic shit, you know. But the moment you actually start to like want to get out of it and try and make effort and put in energy, work, and time, you actually start to get help to get out of that. But sometimes a lot of people get lost into their ego and then they'll be like, oh no, well, because this bad thing happened. But those are the times where you're actually being called to push yourself, to challenge yourself, to strive harder. So it's not that once it gets hard, oh, now it was all for nothing. No, once it gets hard, that's the time where you really should be thinking, oh shit, this is about to get real. This is about to manifest. This is my opportunity for me to actually put pen to paper. And all those times where it wasn't hard and it wasn't difficult, now it's difficult. Okay, now this is where it matters. You know, this is where the effort and the practice matters. So that's the moment where you put in the extra work to not, you know, be affected by that. Because the moment you let the external start to affect you, then you're just going to be part of its cycle instead of you being the one who's creating cycles, creating new cycles. This is how you can become a cycle breaker, you know, and break family cycles and family chains. Because instead of being affected by the external and letting the external make you feel a certain way, and that's a cycle, you know, because the external is going to always go around and around and around and around. The world's always turning, you know, whichever way you want to look at it. But once you stop letting that cycle affect you, that external energy, then you are becoming the creator of cycles. So instead of it being affected by the cycles, you affect the cycles. So now you become the cause. And anything that comes as an effect, you already know how to kind of manage things a lot better because you were the one who caused it, and you know how to manage the effect based on whatever cause you were already in, you know. So I hope I'm not losing anyone, because I know this is a lot deeper than my normal videos. My normal videos, I do go deep, but like this is more esoteric kind of videos, so a lot of people might not be able to get this. But if you do, then you're probably more like on that spiritually inclined side, you know. So what's it called? Once you start to realize, okay, this is how I can get out of it, instead of being affected, you become the effect, or the cause, really. You become the cause. So now you know how to manage everything that's going on, and you know how to stop something from being caused, because you already know how to be the cause. So I'm trying to think, there's a point on why I even said that in the first place. Let me think. See, I just got so knocked out of my mind state right then. Got to reel myself back in. So, might just have another cone. So, now, when you are actually jumping into whatever space you want to be in, whether it's the place you're from or the place you're at, you're able to better assimilate or better acclimate to wherever you're at, because now you are not being affected constantly by it, and you're starting to become the cause, you know, and you're jumping more into that energy of the cause. And by default, if you're jumping into the energy more of the cause, you are more in your natural nature. So that's naturally more in tune with nature, because you are now in that energy of what nature is, because nature causes things. You know, sometimes people don't even know what causes nature, but nature by itself is the cause, but not physically speaking. This is just esoteric, because you have your own spiritual natures yourself. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have these terms for them. So that's what I'm saying. But that's a little bit off topic, But how many things do I say that's off topic, eh? Like, let's be real. Let's be really, 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 really. So, as well, on top of that, just being able to tune more into that nature, the natural nature, the environment, the atmosphere around you. A lot of people will move to somewhere and then they won't even get to know the environment or the atmosphere around them. It's no wonder that you start to feel alienated and disconnected, because you are not getting to know the environment and the atmosphere. And this doesn't actually have to mean what maybe a lot of people might think I mean. Like, oh, you have to go out and get to know maybe I don't know, the natures and the rocks and shit. No, there's many different layers to the environment and the atmosphere that you're in. When you walk into a room, you feel a certain way, you think a certain way. So that's already an environment and an atmosphere in itself. So when you get to know each environment and the atmosphere that you're in, then you're starting to be able to calibrate yourself a lot better, because you know how the environment is by nature. It naturally plays out this way. And so then you're able to maybe either harmonize with it better, or just stop being in that opposing friction energy and make it a little bit more harmonious, Because you may feel as well, like back in the day when I was in New Zealand, I even felt that energy like I was out of place. But when I was younger, I used to feel a lot more connected to it. But I think as well, because I've adjusted and I've developed a lot of mind states and a lot of awarenesses in a different geographical location, and it's a completely different atmosphere, it's a completely different environment, so you think differently, you feel differently. This is why you can literally go to two different countries, the people be acting completely different, but they're all people, and they're acting some kind of way. So there's something that's the same about them, but the environment, the atmosphere, the energy is different. So that's why people don't think that I'm freaking talking out of my ass, but you literally see this every single day. And if you don't, then you're blind to your reality. You're just lost in some fantasy reality, movie. But also, anyways, don't mind me, guys. I just got distracted again. Thought I heard somebody outside my room. So yeah, when it comes to what I was talking about before I got distracted, this is the energy that can get you into feeling more in place instead of out of place, feeling more in alignment instead of out of alignment. This is one of the many energies. There's many different tactics, there's many different tools that you can use to realign yourself, but this is two main ways, especially when it pertains to my specific experience that I'm talking about right now, which is when you're from two different geographical locations. So when you start to be able to know what the atmosphere is like and the environment around you, you will start to learn better how to correlate yourself in the environment. It's like the same thing, concept of like when you walk into a room, you know, at first it's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable. When you start to get to know the atmosphere and the environment, you will start to develop comfortabilities, and you know where you would like to go and where you wouldn't like to go, what kind of space you would like to go, what kind of mind state you would like to go in, and where you wouldn't want to go in. You know, what's more harmonious for the atmosphere and what isn't. You know, but when you're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like I was saying, you're not going to develop any comfortability because you're not fully committing to something. You know, they have to really commit to something in order for you to actually develop like more familiarity to it, you know, or to develop more associations and relatability, or just like to develop really anything like proper and substantial. Because if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're only going to get back what you put in. So it's only ever going to be 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out energies, you know. But when I finally commit, because like, you know, being back in New Zealand, I was like pretty committed, but a lot of the experiences that I went through was not so great. So I decided to come back and then commit here, you know, so that makes a difference in my energy that I experience here, where I was able to still take the lessons that I've learned and the knowledge and the wisdom and all the things that I've gained from New Zealand's atmosphere. But now I'm able to also use it here in the same place and the same geographical location that I actually grew up in. So for me, it's kind of like a real eye opener, like a message from God or possibilities, because I don't really like that term God, to show, you know, you can go through the same exact experience, go through the same exact geographical location, and even though before I genuinely thought like this wasn't the place for me, but I've actually had so much benefits and so much positive experiences since coming back. And so to me, that's kind of like a real eye opener and message, like I was saying, message from more possibilities, like ring, ding, ding. This is how life is. At the end of the day, it's all about your mind state. It's not about the experience itself. When you change the way you think and when you change your mind state, this is how your reality will start to evolve and change to be better. And you can even go right back to the exact same place, right back to the exact same location, be that you grew up in, that you hated, that you thought was the whole entire reason why you were depressed in the first place. And you will realize that it was never that place in most cases. It was literally you the whole time, babes. It was you the whole freaking time. And you just didn't want to commit. You just didn't want to assimilate. You just didn't want to be where you were at that point in time. You wanted to be somewhere else, over here, over there, in fantasy land, in La La Land. Ever since I've seen Dolo talk about that Olala tribe, that just made me uncomfortable to even say that. That honestly just made me uncomfortable to even say that. But, you know, everything's native hobbyism, so it's like to the point where, like, I don't know, like reacting and responding to it on like a deep level is like, it's just pointless, because it's like, bitch, like, you might as well just hate everything. Like, you might as well just, that's how I felt about like the whole Illuminati shit. Like that last video that I did when you're too afraid to listen to music. Like that's literally the same mindset that I was in with that. Like, oh my gosh. Like, no point in listening to any music. No point in listening to anything. It's all got a, like, demonic shit. Or it's all blah, blah, blah. You know, so it just gets to that point. But when I took my power back and I realized that I'm actually giving my power away. Like, bish, who said that anything demonic can affect me? Who said that anything evil can affect me? Bitch, who? Because last time I checked, in my receipts, in my mind state, in my world, in my reality, that shit does not affect me. It cannot affect me, will not affect me, and won't never affect me. Because I'm the cause, bitch. Like I was saying before, I'm the cause. So if anything's getting affected, it's gonna get affected. Whatever the fuck it is, whether it's evil, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's blah blah blah. Because I'm the cause. I'm not the effect. I don't get affected. You know, so that's what really has helped me. Really has benefited me in getting out of those spaces and getting out of those mentalities. And on that note, I think that honestly, this video was perfectly orchestrated and said, despite all the little distractions and the sidetracks. I think my point got driven home pretty freaking amazing, guys. So, on that note, I'll leave it there. And if I want any other points and I think of anything else, I'm just going to start another video again. Part 2-ish, but we'll see. Peace. Enjoy your day, time, your momente. I'm kind of getting sick of saying that, actually. Just enjoy yourself. Bye.